In the tumultuous aftermath of the battle with the undead, one face was conspicuously absent among the surviving gang members: Chopper. The once brutal enforcer of the Crescent Crew was in a coma, his life hanging in a balance after his harrowing transformation into one of the undead and the subsequent return to humanity. As he lay motionless in the dimly lit room, he found himself in a dreamlike state. An ethereal figure appeared, wreathed in soft light. The figure introduced herself as Seraphina, an angel dispatched to guide him through his trials. Chopper was a man accustomed to the harsh realities of the hood, the sting of cold metal, the adrenaline rush of a street brawl. But this was a different realm, a different kind of battle. Seraphina revealed a terrifying truth. Chopper's son, CJ, was on the brink of joining a gang led by powerful demons in disguise, feeding on young, troubled souls to strengthen their ranks in the underworld. Chopper, with his unique link to both worlds, was their only hope. Upon waking, Chopper wasted no time. With weak, shaky steps, he found Razor. He revealed the celestial intervention and the impending danger CJ was in. Razor, seeing the desperation in his comrade's eyes, agreed to help. They had faced the forces of hell before, and they could do it again. For Chopper, for CJ. The demon-led gang was unlike any they had battled before. Its members were not undead, but living humans, corrupted and manipulated by the demon's influence. The demons themselves were cunning, masking their true forms under the guise of hardened gangsters. The final confrontation was at the gang's hideout, a dilapidated warehouse turned into a demonic fortress. Chopper, fueled by paternal desperation, charged headfirst into the battle, his every blow carrying the weight of his love for CJ. The fight was brutal. Chopper, despite his weakened state, was a whirlwind of fury. Yet as he finally came face to face with the demonic leader, a cruel fate awaited. The demon, seeing his determination, struck a fatal blow. Chopper crumbled, life slowly ebbing away from his eyes. But even in his final moments, he didn't relent. With a last surge of strength, he plunged a blessed blade, provided by Seraphina, into the demon leader, vanquishing him back to the underworld. As Chopper lay dying, CJ rushed to his side. Their eyes met, a silent exchange between father and son. Chopper, his life fading fast, held his son's gaze. It was an unspoken vow, a plea for his son to choose a different path, to stay away from the world that had claimed his life. As life finally slipped away from Chopper, Seraphina reappeared. The warehouse, filled with chaos and despair, suddenly felt serene. She extended her hand, and a portal of soft light appeared. It was a gateway to heaven, a path to eternal peace. But before crossing over, Chopper had one last goodbye. He looked at CJ one last time, his eyes filled with warmth and sorrow. "Be better than me, son," he implored, his voice barely a whisper. With that, Chopper let go of his earthly ties, passing on to the realm beyond under Seraphina's guidance. The gang, left behind, watched the heavenly departure in stunned silence. It was a heavy loss, but also a tale of redemption. Chopper had lived a life marred by violence, yet his final act was one of love and sacrifice. He had saved his son, saved them all, from a threat they never saw coming. Chopper's death left a vacuum in the hearts of the Crescent Crew, but it also brought a solemn realization. They had lost one of their own, not to a rival gang or a police bullet, but to a supernatural force they were just beginning to comprehend. And they knew they had to honor his sacrifice. They became a beacon for CJ, a collective guardian in place of his fallen father. They guided him, kept him from the allure of the streets that had claimed his father, and offered him a different path, a path that Chopper had dreamt for him. In the midst of their sorrow, the sight of Chopper's ascension to heaven lingered in their minds, adding another layer to the chilling tales that echoed in the streets of shadows. Chopper's story, from his transformation to an undead, his miraculous return, and finally his celestial ascension, became an integral part of their urban lore, passed on in hushed whispers in the graffiti-streaked corners of the hood. Chopper's legacy lived on in his son, who grew under the watchful eyes of the Crescent Crew. A sense of responsibility had been instilled in the gang members. They were no longer just fighters, they were protectors, guiders, mentors. The streets of shadows had borne witness to many stories of survival, of brotherhood, of battles against the supernatural. But Chopper's story held a special place. It was a story of sacrifice and redemption, of a father's love transcending the boundaries of life and death. The final image of Chopper disappearing into the heavenly portal became a symbol, a reminder of their fight, their loss, and their purpose. It was a symbol that they carried in their hearts as they navigated the streets they called home, streets that had seen bloodshed and terror, but also resilience and redemption. Every sunset that painted the skyline, every hushed whisper that carried their stories, every graffiti that adorned the brick walls bore the mark of Chopper's sacrifice. And every night, as the hood descended into darkness, the Crescent Crew knew they weren't alone. In the streets of shadows, they had an angel watching over them, an angel named Chopper. And so, life went on in the streets of shadows, each day bringing a new challenge, each night whispering a new story. The tales of their encounter with the supernatural grew with each retelling, solidifying their status as urban legends. Yet beneath all the sensational stories, the Crescent Crew had transformed. Chopper's death was not in vain. It gave the gang a renewed purpose. A sense of unity took hold of them, a shared responsibility to not only protect their hood, but to transform it, to create a safe haven for the likes of CJ and other children who might otherwise fall prey to the allure of the streets. Razor took the lead, guiding his crew with a steady hand. He shared Chopper's final words with the gang members, a call to be better, a call that resonated within each of them. They were no longer just gang members fighting for survival. They were protectors, they were mentors, they were symbols of hope for the hood. The gang's transformation had a ripple effect. The streets they once claimed with violence were now brimming with the buzz of community activities. Graffiti were replaced with murals of hope. Abandoned buildings became community centers, and the once dreaded alleyways became safe passages. The streets started to vibrate with a newfound energy, an energy fostered by unity and resilience. The kids, who once saw the gang as fearsome figures, now looked at them with awe and respect. The streets of shadows had become a cradle of stories, stories of battles and loss, but more importantly, stories of transformation and hope. The memory of Chopper lived on. His heavenly departure became a beacon of hope, a symbol of the power of change. Every time CJ walked past his father's memorial, a graffiti portrait skillfully crafted on a brick wall by Ghost, he would remember his father's sacrifice. Chopper's plea for him to be better, to not follow his footsteps, echoed in his heart. It was a promise he intended to keep, a promise that guided him. And every now and then, when the night sky was clear and the stars were out in full display, CJ could swear he saw a particular star shimmer a little brighter. He liked to believe it was Chopper, his guardian angel, watching over him. The sun sank low on the horizon, casting long shadows through the labyrinthine alleys of the hood. The air was pregnant with the heavy silence that often preceded a storm. This neighborhood had seen its share of storms, some literal, some figurative, but nothing like what was looming on the horizon. Razor, the leader of the Crescent Crew, walked the streets in silence, an ominous feeling gnawing at the pit of his stomach. The whispers of the streets spoke of an impending doom, whispers he couldn't ignore. Chopper's unexpected demise, his miraculous ascension to the heavens, and now his prophetic warning about his son CJ, had stirred a palpable unrest within the crew. Chopper was not merely a member of their crew, he was the sinew that held them together, a brother in arms whose tragic transformation into an undead and eventual sacrifice had etched an indelible mark on their lives. His heavenly departure had left a void in their hearts, but it had also brought a grim realization. The hood was under a supernatural siege, and they were the last line of defense. The darkness of the night enveloped the streets, casting a shroud of an eerie chill over the neighborhood. The graffiti-stained walls echoed tales of blood and redemption, serving as an unending reminder of their tryst with the undead. The urban legends that had once been whispered in hushed tones were now reality, a reality they were still coming to terms with. As Razor navigated the labyrinth of narrow alleys, the sound of his boots on the rain-soaked pavement resonating with a melancholy rhythm, he couldn't shake off the sense of dread. The shadows seemed to hold a spectral audience, eyes watching, waiting. Razor had fought rival gangs, battled the law, and even faced the horrors of the undead. But this was different. This was a battle for the soul of their community, for the future of CJ, for the memory of Chopper. The next day, an unsettling coldness had descended upon the neighborhood. There was a rustle in the air, a sibilant whisper that slithered through the crevices and cracks of the crumbling edifices, reaching Razor as he sat, contemplating their next move. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. How could they protect CJ? What would the gang's next move be in this sinister game of chess they were unwillingly playing? Meanwhile, CJ, unaware of his father's ethereal warning, was caught in a battle of his own. Adolescence in the hood was a tumultuous time, and for CJ it was compounded by the fact that his father was now a tale told in hushed whispers. He missed Chopper, his guiding force, his hero. But he was not ready to believe that his father had crossed the realm of the living to send a dire warning. The days turned into a blur of anticipation and worry. The Crescent Crew had faced many threats, but this was different, more personal. It was no longer just about them. It was about a boy who had lost his father, about a legacy that needed to be protected, about a future that hung in the balance. As the air of uncertainty grew thicker, so did the resolve of the Crescent Crew. They became more than gang members. They became guardians, protectors ready to face whatever the streets of shadows had in store for them. They had already seen the worst, their own becoming undead, a brother's heavenly ascension, a gang war with hell itself. Whatever came next, they were ready. Even as the spectral threat loomed over them, life in the streets of shadows took on a different hue. It was no longer just about survival, it was about hope, resilience, and change. The tales of their encounter with the supernatural had not just reshaped their lives, but also the very fabric of their community. The once feared and formidable gang had now become its guardian angels, a beacon of change in a place that had seen too little of it. The change was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The midnight gunfire had given way to the rhythmic beats of music echoing through the alleyways. The illicit dealings had been replaced with open conversations, community meetings in the open square. The once grimy walls were now adorned with vibrant murals, a testament to their newfound spirit of resilience. And amidst it all, the Crescent Crew stood tall, their transformation from feared gangsters to unlikely heroes, a symbol of hope for those who had none. But the peace was ephemeral, shattered by the arrival of a new threat, one that seemed almost spectral in nature. Whispers began to circulate of an unknown entity, one that had risen from the ashes of their past. The ghost of their original gang leader, OG, returned with an army of the undead. The eerie silence of the nights was punctuated by the low moans of the resurrected, their vacant eyes reflecting the spectral glow of the moon. The sight was chilling, a stark reminder of their last encounter with the undead. But this time they were not just fighting their fallen comrades. They were up against a formidable foe, the one who had started it all, the original gangster himself. It was a battle they hadn't sought, yet one they couldn't escape. Their tryst with the undead had come full circle, a chilling reminder of the sins of their past. They had to fight, not just for their survival, but for the soul of their community. The nights became a horrifying battlefield, the living against the undead, the Crescent Crew against the OG. Razor led the charge, armed with the holy relic they had acquired from their previous encounter with the Crossroad Demon. Its glow was the only thing that cut through the spectral gloom, a beacon of hope amidst the horrifying chaos. The battle was gruesome, a chilling tableau of gore and valor. But beneath the fear and horror there was a spark of determination. This was their home, their streets of shadows, and they were not going down without a fight. Amidst the chaos, Razor found himself face to face with the ghostly figure of the OG. The sight was chilling, a spectral reflection of their gang's dark past. The battle that ensued was fierce and brutal. But Razor, armed with his holy relic, stood his ground, his every move a testament to his resolve to protect his hood, his home. When the dust settled, the OG was finally put to rest, his spectral figure dissolving into the cold night air. The undead without their leader soon followed, their bodies collapsing into dust, a chilling end to their horrific existence. But the victory came at a cost. The streets of shadows were bathed in an eerie silence, a grim reminder of the battle they had just fought, of the comrades they had lost, and of the relentless curse that seemed to cling to their home. As the sun rose on the horizon, it cast long shadows through the alleys, a visual echo of the battle they had fought. The streets were scarred, but so were they. They had faced their past, stood against an army of the undead, and had come out stronger. Their tale was one of horror and valor, of sacrifice and salvation. It was a tale that was whispered in hushed tones, a chilling urban legend that resonated through the streets of shadows. They had stared into the face of horror and had come out victorious, and even as the dawn broke, casting the first rays of light on the battle-scarred streets, there was a palpable shift in the air. They had not just survived another night, they had once again safeguarded the future of their community, their legacy. And at the heart of it all was Razor, the reluctant hero whose courage had led them through the storm. Life resumed in the streets of shadows, its rhythm finding a new normalcy. The graffiti that once told tales of rival gang wars were now narratives of their surreal encounters with the undead, a testament to their resilience and survival. CJ, who was once on the verge of being lured into a gang of demons, found a new path under Razor's guidance. He became a beacon of hope, a symbol of the new generation that would grow not in the shadow of the Crescent Crew's past, but in the light of their heroism. The Crescent Crew, meanwhile, embraced their new role as the guardians of their community. Their transformation was inspiring, from feared gangsters to unlikely heroes, from victims of their past to architects of their future. The streets that once feared the dark now found solace in it, knowing that they were under the protection of those who had faced the worst and emerged victorious. In the streets of shadows, every alley echoed their tale, every graffiti-covered wall was a testament to their resilience, and every sunrise was a symbol of their survival. The hood had become more than a battleground. It was now a symbol of hope, resilience, and redemption. And at the heart of it all was the Crescent Crew, their sacrifice etched in every brick, their salvation intertwined with the destiny of the streets they called home. Their story was one of transformation, a hauntingly beautiful symphony of survival and resilience, horror and heroism, sacrifice and salvation. And as they moved forward, the specters of their past became the stepping stones to their future, their stories resonating through the labyrinthine alleys, an everlasting reminder of the surreal battle they had fought and won. And so, the streets of shadows lived on, its tales forever etched in its heart, a chilling echo of the past, a beacon of the present, and a hopeful whisper of the future. An enduring testament to those who had walked its streets, who had faced the darkness and emerged into the light, who had sacrificed and in return found their salvation. Streets of shadows. It was more than a hood. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a beacon for those lost in the darkness, and a symbol of the resilient hope that even in the darkest of times, heroes can emerge from the shadows. It was the story of Razor and the Crescent Crew, their journey from the depths of horror to the peaks of heroism. A tale that would echo through time, a haunting melody in the symphony of the streets of shadows. Their sacrifice, their salvation, their legacy. Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. We're so excited to have you here and share our content with you. If you're new here, make sure to click that subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.